Hello and welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm your host, Linda Smith. My guests tonight are Lisa and Billy Wright. Lisa and Billy are part of an ever-growing number of grandparents who've taken on the full-time responsibility of raising their grandchildren while the parents are deployed in Iraq. Welcome to Lynchburg Live. I'm so glad to have you as my guest.
Thank you, Linda.
You know, you guys are caring for your son and daughter-in-law's kids. And while both of them are deployed with the military, where are they currently deployed?
They're in Basra, Iraq.
Okay. And which branch of the military are they?
Josh, our oldest son, he's in the Army, and Feather is full-time National Guard.
And Feather is his wife?
Yes.
Okay. But, you know, you told me that at first when they were deployed, they weren't deployed in the same place.
No.
But they are now. How did that happen?
Well, initially, they thought they were going to be in different areas of Iraq. Feather, she was deployed first, and she knew she was going to Basra. Josh, once he was deployed, initially they go to Kuwait before they enter into Iraq. And up until the time that he was in Kuwait, he was under the impression that he was going to be going to Talil. And at the last moment, it was changed, and he ended up going straight to Basra and is actually living with his wife, Feather, there.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
I mean, at least they're together if they have to be
Yes.
separated from their children. Is it unusual for a couple to be deployed together?
I think in this day and time, it's not as unusual. I know that I have couples that are choosing to go together because they are spending less time apart, which always puts, you know, the children at risk,
Right.
but that's a choice that they've made, so.
But until we actually, or they actually were deployed, I was always under the impression, as I think was Lisa, that, okay, only one will be deployed, the other will be here with the kids. And just about everyone you speak to, wow, you know, they're both deployed at the same time. I didn't think they could do that. So we were under the same impression at the time.
Everyone's really surprised at that.
Yeah.
And these are really different times. This is the first time in history that both parents are deployed in the military at the same time. Now, you're caring for their children. How many and what are their ages, Lisa?
3 girls, ages 9, 7, and 16 months.
That's a lot of young kids. Are they actually involved in combat? You know, what kind of risk are they facing where they are?
Well, Feather's MP, so she is usually with a lot of the generals as they're moving around, and so she is in a little more secured area. Josh, with his security clearance, he doesn't tell us some of the things that he does, so we're really not sure, but he keeps talking to us, so we know he's there.
That's right, that's right. He keeps some things a secret, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
From Mom, anyway.
You know, yes, no matter where they are, if they're with the military and they're in that area, there has to be some risk involved with that. Now, how did you decide to be the caregivers for all 3 of these children? Were there any other options, or?
Well, there were some other options, but really not good options.
Right.
And, you know, when they asked, you know, we just really didn't put a lot of thought into it. It was just, yeah, you need us, we'll be there.
Now, were Feather and Josh living here before they?
No, they live in Texas.
Okay, so this is really quality time you've got with your grandchildren that
Yes.
you might not have had.
That's right.
All right, I know that you both work full-time and you both have very demanding jobs. Can you tell our audience, please, what you do for a living?
Well, Lisa.
I'm a registered nurse, and I work in a busy operating room, and which requires full-time hours along with call, along with weekends, and so it can get pretty crazy at times. So they have a lot of expectations of their staff, and then a lot of expectations at home. So it's been sometimes pulled my hair out.
Well, fortunately, I'm a school teacher, and I teach at Desmond Doss Junior Academy here in Lynchburg. We're a small private school, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and we have a really great staff. We all work together as a team. And I teach 9th and 10th grade, and with my position, I'm able to fill in the gaps where, you know, Lisa has a much more demanding position. The girls also go to the school, and we have a daycare center, the Bashville Giraffe, which is right there adjacent to the school. So the baby is able to go to the daycare center, and I'm there with the kids during the day, and which that affords us a lot of opportunities.
That's great.
Yes.
That really is great.
Yeah, he has the hectic morning.
The morning shift.
The morning shift, and in the evening I have the dinner and the cleanup and that kind of thing, and getting them all ready for bed and things like that. But when we talked to Josh and Feather, we really did emphasize that they needed to send the kids there. It would be too difficult to try to meet bus schedules, and especially with him at another school, and so they agreed to pay the tuition and send them.
You know, I've known both of you all for a while, and you're the youngest grandparents that I know, so this question, don't take it wrong, but this has to be a challenge at this stage of your life when your kids are out of the house and grown, and you finally had some time to yourself, and it's like starting over.
Well, I guess the biggest adjustment has been the sleep deprivation. We went through January, February, and part of March with the youngest one that was constantly sick with ear infections, strep throat, respiratory virus, and finally we had the tubes put in their ears in March, and it's been much better since then.
Much better.
Yeah, but you know, I think we both look at it as it's just a great opportunity for us to build the relationships with those kids that we would not have otherwise had. So you know, you can focus on you know, any of the negative that you want to, but to me, it's been a blessing to have them with us and to get to know them and for them to get to know us.
Yeah, I think I mostly just feel at times I'm just really tired. Just really, Lisa, between working and the demand of that, and then being with the children and the demands that go with your household anyway, and then the sleep deprivation. There's been days where I've just sat down on the floor and just cried because, you know, I'm just exhausted. Yeah. But I mean, I wouldn't, like he said, I wouldn't get to know them, especially being in Texas, 22 hours away just about, driving. I wouldn't get to know them, so I'm thankful for that.
So basically, the most challenging part of this for you all is just sleep deprivation, being tired, being exhausted, and trying to handle everything at one time, your jobs and these kids.
Well, fortunately, I can make it on about 4 or 5 hours of sleep.
He's much better than I am.
Yeah,
so
and with her position, you know, she can't afford to go into the operating room and be half asleep. That doesn't go over very well.
I have my wits about me.
So I usually try to when the young one is awake, try to sneak her to another part of the house to where she's not waking up everyone else, and it works usually.
You know, this is such a new thing for grandparents to be taking on the responsibility of grandchildren under these circumstances. Do you all get any kind of financial assistance from the military or the government at all?
Not the military and the government. Joshua and Feather, they pay for their schooling and for their daycare. We have a little bit of money left over to help with diapers and groceries, but other than that, we don't know of any funds that are available.
We don't receive anything.
Yes.
You know, this is really a human interest story, and it's a story of sacrifice for everybody, for the parents, for you all, and for these kids who really don't have a say-so in this kind of sacrifice that they're making. How do the children, how are they dealing with this separation, especially the small child?
Well, I think them coming into a situation where we have a family setting together, the 3 girls are together, and the youngest one, that's been the constant in her life, is the 2 sisters.
Right.
So that didn't change. And then I think coming into a family where we could, step in and play the part of mom and dad, if you will, that has helped the transition for them. But there have been some.
First, when they first arrived, Feather has sent books where she was actually. It's a program where she actually sits and reads the books. They're recorded on a DVD. She sends it with the book to the child, and they each get one, and she has chosen the books. but she's reading the book.
That's
and
great.
which
Yeah.
bridges that gap. But at first, when they watched them, they cried.
Yeah.
The two older ones.
They did.
I'm sure.
And it was hard for them. But now they're just kind of. I think sometimes when especially the older one, when she Skypes with mom,
Yeah.
it's like, well, if I don't think about it, it doesn't happen. But she's more comfortable with it, and they seem to be happy. The middle one has kind of acted out a few times, especially when I've been really busy and haven't been able to be there at work, call and that kind of thing. But when everybody's there and we could provide that protective environment, she settles down. And the baby, I think she just really, it's just being a baby, She goes through the stages of separation anxiety like every other child her age. So, but she's.
Yeah. And Joshua spent 2 weeks before he left.
Yeah.
And I made it a point then for him just to back off at night when she wakes up and let me step in.
Right.
And she really bonded with me.
Oh yeah, she's
really quick.
She loves her
That's a
puppy.
good way
That's
to
what she
do
calls
that.
him.
Yeah, and that way she still had him there during the day, but we were able to get that bonding at night, and I think that helped a lot. And really, the Skype, the technology of that program has just been wonderful for the girls.
How often are they able to Skype with the parents?
Well, at school, during lunchtime, I'll bring them into my classroom
Right.
on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and so they're able to spend about 30 minutes talking with mom.
That's
during
wonderful.
those. Unfortunately, Josh is
Busy.
not back into their home. They're 7 hours ahead of us over there, and so he's not finished with his day at
Right.
that point. But then on the
On
weekends,
we Skype with
we
both of
Skype.
them.
Yeah, so we usually 4, maybe 5 times a week on Skype.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
Yes.
it's
Do you have any
wonderful.
idea how this is affecting the parents?
Well,
I mean, I know they're busy.
Yeah.
They're doing a
Right.
job, and
yeah,
it's
it's very routine for them right now. I think a lot of times Josh, says, "Well, I'm just fighting being bored," but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think with him, he kind of takes it in stride and doesn't focus. But he's the dad, not the mom, and there's times where Feather is really kind of hanging on by her fingernails
I'm sure.
and tying that knot and hanging on because she's really wanting to see her children.
I try to give her lots of pep talks.
Yeah.
I'll talk with her before or after the girls are in the room and let her know that we do miss her as much as she misses us, and that this is just temporary.
Yep.
I know sometimes when you're in the middle of something, it seems like it's forever.
Yeah.
But I keep reminding we'll be looking back at this time and thinking, wow, it went by fast.
So the older kids, I'm sure, are aware of where their parents are
Yes.
and what they're
Very
doing.
much.
It's probably a little more difficult to explain to the younger one.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's just a baby. Basically, she's feed me, diaper me,
Right.
make me feel good, and I'm going to bed.
Right.
You all have brought some pictures, and Phil, if you'll put the pictures up on the screen, we'll get Billy and Lisa to tell us what they are.
This is a picture of Jade. She was in my classroom after school one day while I was working on some planning, and this is a picture of Mina, also in the classroom. She was working on some of her homework.
Now, is these both are
That's the 7-year-old.
children? Okay.
Yeah. She loves having homework.
And this is all of us at Easter. The two on the bottom there is my other son Jacob and his daughter Abby.
And then Mina is in the pink dress.
Pink striped dress.
Right.
Jade's in the pink dress, and he's holding London.
Right.
That's a wonderful picture.
Thank
Yes,
you.
it is. Yeah.
Little snapshot.
Yeah.
It wasn't planned. They're all 3 of the girls. It was camo day at school.
Yeah. Yeah. Once in the spring we have a Spirit Week at school, and so this was camo day for them, and so we went all the way down to the. I guess she was 14 months at the time. Yeah, and so they were posing before school that morning.
They're really cute kids.
This,
So Jade.
yeah, in January and February, our school, we do a ski program up at Wintergreen, and so this was her first opportunity to go skiing,
Right.
and she really enjoyed that.
Yep. So she's having a great time.
And this is something they wouldn't have an opportunity to do in Texas.
No.
They were excited about snow.
That's right. Oh, yeah. Anytime it snowed, they were excited.
So this is also an educational opportunity for them.
Yes.
You know, seeing some other parts of the country and
actually having seasons that aren't just hot and more hot.
Right. And a little less hot.
And a little less hot. That's right. This is Josh and Feather at their wedding. There's a bride and groom as they come through the little archway there. That's them in their non-army gear.
Right.
I thought maybe you'd show a picture that way that you get to see them as regular people, mom and dad. That's London in the wagon. This was Mother's Day, and she's just out there clowning around, but I thought that was a cute picture to show how much she's really progressed in her, development and everything.
And this is Spaghetti Face.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful picture.
Yeah, Mom really liked that one.
And we do take lots of pictures and send to them. Yeah.
This is Josh and Feather. They're in Iraq. Toby Keith had given a couple of concerts for the troops.
Oh, cool.
And they got an opportunity to speak with him, talk with him, sit down and meet him and take some photographs with him. So they were all excited, and they said the concert was really, really a good concert.
Yeah, they enjoyed that.
Yeah, they did. So this is them in their regular Army gear.
Now this, at Valentine, we have a banquet at our school, and we also have a little talent show with it. And the two girls had their hearts set on singing the song. So unfortunately, Poppy was the one that was supposed to be practicing with them, and music is not my forte, so we had some of the older girls that sang backup for them.
Yeah, they were their moral support,
right.
too.
Yeah.
Lisa, you told me that there's a military-funded camp, summer camp.
What it is, it's called Military Kids, and it's a fund that Feather found out about. That's it's a private fund that you can actually request money for kids whose parents are deployed. It could be one or the other. Doesn't have to be both parents. That are available, but once it's gone, it's gone. But you request money for different things, and she happened to request money for their summer camp, and they have come across and they have paid it.
That's wonderful. When are they going?
Last week of June.
Yes, and actually they're going to different camps.
Oh.
Well, it's the same camp, but they have different programs at the camp.
Right, so they're very excited.
Yeah.
Even the small child, is she
Well, not the
going?
baby.
Not the baby.
Yeah, but Mina, the 7-year-old, she's going to Adventurer Camp. And Jade, she'll be 10 at the time. She's going to Cowgirl 1 camp.
Yeah.
So they're both very excited about that.
Are there any legal or custody issues with you all doing this?
Yes.
Okay, that I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, we are their legal guardians while Josh and Feather are in harm's way.
Oh, yeah, the Army makes sure that they complete their care package. They're after them every few weeks before they're deployed, make sure everything is signed and sealed and notarized. We are their legal guardians right now. We have everything from their birth certificates to their military IDs to their shot records. We have Josh and Feather's wills. We have everything.
That just sounds like you're very well prepared, and,
Yes.
I applaud you for making sure that that's taken care of that way. Now, here's sort of an off-the-cuff question. Can you just tell our audience what a day for you all is like when you get up? I know that you are a team. You've always worked as a team. That has to be helpful.
Well, he can start because he's the one that. I go to work. I get up. I go to work.
Yeah. Well, when the day goes according to plan, as Lisa's leaving, or right before she leaves, I'm getting up. And I try to get a few things prepared before the baby wakes up.
Shower.
Yeah, and once she gets up, things just kind of take on their own, their own turn.
That's right.
But usually with her, I get her changed, not dressed, but get her changed, and get her in the high chair and let her play with some breakfast. She doesn't normally eat that early, but she plays with it. And I can get the girls up and get their breakfast. And once they eat, then they usually go ahead and brush their teeth and wash their face and get themselves dressed, because Lisa's very diligent in making sure that they get their clothes out the night before. And so they get dressed, and by the time they're dressed, I've usually gotten dressed and got the baby dressed. So if we're running on time, about 7:30 we're pushing on out the door. And so that gets us to school right before 8 o'clock. And I get the baby over to the daycare and get her all checked in. And usually I can get her to let go of my shirt long enough for me to get out of the room. And then I get over to, the girls go on to my classroom and wait until it's time for them to go to their classroom, so it's about 8:15. And then we're into the school day at that point. And depending on which day it is, we will be Skyping at lunchtime, and then once the school day is over, they're back to my classroom. And you know, sometimes they get to go out and play with some of the other kids right after school, some of the other parents' children. But then we try to get loaded up and get back to home.
5:30.
Yeah.
And then it's a tag team, and she takes over?
Yeah.
Then by the time they walk in the door, I try to have dinner ready to go, because the little one is usually the one that's, I'm hungry, want something to eat, and then I have set the table and get everybody fed and get the little one a bath. The older ones take a bath every other day. Because they have long hair, they don't wash their hair every night. And then, you know, we're always get your clothes out for tomorrow, pack your lunches. You know, we try to get everything a little more organized at night, so it's not so hectic for him in the morning. So that's, and then we flop down in bed about 10 o'clock, exhausted.
But you have to have this kind of regimentation if you're going to manage with your jobs and with and do these children the way they need to be taken care of.
And they very much know if something is not in the time frame that we're doing. So.
What about holidays and birthdays for these kids? Is that difficult with their parents gone?
Well, the holiday, use Skype. So she was able to watch them open their gifts, and they were able to see Mom, but it was still...
You could see Mom had a hard time.
Oh, yeah, it was still hard for both sides. Both sides. So far, we did celebrate...
The first birthday.
Yeah, we did first birthday for London, which she stayed so sick, we ended up doing it later and later, but she sent the party goods through the online, and they arrived at the door. And we took care of cake, where we were going to have it, where we were going to have, who invited, invitations, thank you notes. We took care of all that food, and we filmed it and took lots of pictures.
And we made sure we had it early enough in the day where we could Skype, and so they were able to talk to all the family members that were there. And we do have a large family in this area. And they were able to talk to a lot of the family members and see their daughters there at the party. So that
made it a little bit better. Of course, the 1-year-old at the time didn't mean anything to her, but she just wanted to have fun.
You know, this situation really, while it's growing, it's still so new. Do you know if there are any churches or any counseling people that offer help to grandparents who find themselves in this situation?
I don't know of any programs, but I do know that members at our church have been very helpful and always offering more help to step in and take the children if we wanted to go out, or just to help out in any way that they could.
So you pretty generally find that people are supportive.
Yes.
And at your jobs, as supportive as they can be, because the job, I mean, that's their main concern, is that the job is done, and you know, but it's nice to know that they do support you.
Yeah. Mine more so than Lisa's.
Yeah, I've got some support. I've got support. At times, it's been a little rocky, but most of the time, people are very supportive.
I think, you know, you almost have to be if you look at what you're going through. Believe it or not, we only have about 3 more minutes.
Okay.
Goes by fast. If other grandparents who were thinking about doing what you all are doing came and asked you, what would you tell them about the challenges or the rewards or what it's just like for you all? And would you recommend doing it?
I would have a hard time not recommending it. I'm one that I love being with kids, and to me, if you get the support system in place, your extended family, you can make it through. Is it going to be all roses along the way? There are challenges as you go along. I think the biggest one is getting the sleep that you may need.
Sure.
But other than that, it's just keeping in mind that what you're doing for the grandchildren. You're making the best out of a difficult situation for them.
Right, and it's not that their parents are separated or on drugs, or
right.
They're doing. And I know grandparents who are taking care of kids because of that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is an entirely different
Right.
thing.
And they're making a sacrifice for our country.
Yeah.
And to help out here at home is the least we can do for them.
Yeah, I think my advice would be, get yourself physically ready as you can, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Get a lot of sleep.
Get your house child proofed early.
Yeah.
Kind of get organized and get some support behind you. Get some people you can call on in emergency. Like she's been sick, we've been sick, but get as much support as you can.
And maybe consult your physician before you try this at home.
I thought today, I had a thought that it would be very interesting if they would do it when they come home, if they would come and do a show and follow up with them on what it's been like for them and how it is.
I would imagine
they
that would be
would.
very
I think
cool.
that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
I could ask
Appreciate
you more
it.
questions.
Yeah.
We just don't have enough time, but I do thank you, and I admire you for what you're doing
Thank
for
you.
these
Thank you very
kids.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. My next show will feature an interview with the new owners of Terrace on the James restaurant, downtown Lynchburg. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.